What does the next era of infrastructure look like for a LATAM, and who's building it? Right? For the context, the past 2 decades were heavily influenced by hypervisors, and with the recent changes in the pricing and everything, there are a lot of disruptions. Now we want to understand from our guests, how what they are seeing in their local market, and also from Oni, what he is seeing from a broader standpoint, because hypervisor is one aspect of it, but the enterprises require compute at the edge, right? For managing their stores, branches, like factory floors, etc. And the AI is going to follow this, right? So how all of these are going to shape up the technology, right? Marcio, you have customers running their workload on your edge data center on Colo, right? Because of these changes in the hypervisor licensing, how did that impact your customers?
Huge impact in Brazil, especially because the traditional hypervisors has prices now, they are 10 times more than last year. And this is a big problem because the companies they have programming about the investment, and now investment is very high. So I think the challenge in Brazil now is thinking in solutions that can bring the possibility to improve the investments, deliver more, and paying less. I don't know how to explain this for you, but it's important.
Okay. So basically, you're saying that the customers that you're working with, they are looking for alternate solution that are like flexible, agile at the same time, don't add cost pressure, right? So Ani, does that match your view? Because you've been doing a lot of working with a lot of Fortune 100 companies, transforming their edge infrastructure, right? So what are your take on it?
No, first, thank you, Raj, for setting it up. Thank you, Thiago. Thank you, Marcio, for coming. So, Raj, you're absolutely right. I think there are a couple of things which are happening in the industry. Number one is obviously markets are changing. Second is the commercial model is a huge factor for the change because people have certain set of budgets which they had in the past. Normally, what happens is every year the budget comes down. They want more, or they want more technology at the same budget. And with what Marcio is suggesting, if the budget and the cost of the product goes up, then it's very difficult for customers to adapt to that. So commercial is one aspect. Second is, how do I optimize the environment? So do I optimize on the hardware cost? Do I optimize on the software cost? Or do I optimize on the efficiency by bringing AI and other things into there? So there are multiple ways to attack that market or address that market in a pure sense. But we are seeing this across the board. But one thing for sure, customers would like to see a much more efficient data structure, plane, networking, everything, the end-to-end solution to be much more attractive commercially, and that's the pattern which we are seeing. And as I've shared with you, AI will play a critical role, infrastructure will play a critical role, and obviously the software which is zero touch, where you do not want people to touch it, or it automatically heals itself is what is going to happen in the market.
Thank you, Ani. Thiago, you've been working with the public sector in Brazil, right? So when we talk about the edge compute, what are the things that shape up that discussion among your customers, right? What are the things that they look for?
Três coisas mudam, né? Uma delas, primeira, né, é conectividade, perfeito? O Brasil é um país que parece mais um continente. Então temos diversos problemas por conta do tamanho, né? Principalmente aí em regiões remotas, regiões de interior. Então isso é um desafio muito grande, a questão da conectividade, justamente por conta de não ter nuvem, de não ter uma cloud para chegar ali em todas essas regiões. Perfeito? Então esse é um primeiro problema. O segundo é a questão da LGPD. O que significa LGPD? Lei Geral de Proteção de Dados, né? É o que garante justamente a soberania de dados, é o acesso, é o controle, a gestão de todos esses dados. Então as empresas brasileiras e também as empresas voltadas ao segmento público, elas são obrigadas a seguir toda a parte de compliance, toda a parte de gestão, que justamente a LGPD traz. Então, no Brasil, não dá para seguir exatamente o que Estados Unidos, Europa, né, traz ali. Então, a gente tem a nossa LGPD que traz toda essa parte de gestão sobre os dados. perfeito? E aí também tem a questão da mão de obra, né? Hoje no Brasil, a gente não tem em cada uma dessas pontas engenheiros, né, ali que dão suporte, que fazem uma gestão ali de uma forma muito direta, né? Então, posso citar um dos problemas aí.
Okay, staying with you, Thiago. Brazilian public sector is famously, cautious about new technology, right? So, when you are bringing this new technology into the public sector market, what are some of the checklists? Like, what do the vendors or the partners have to, look after?
Perfeito. Eu posso citar quatro coisas. A primeira, né? Os compradores públicos, eles não gostam de ser o primeiro. Eles querem ter uma referência, ou seja, quem já comprou, quem já utiliza aquela solução. Então, esse é um primeiro pilar. Segundo pilar, né? A questão de atender à Lei Geral de Proteção de Dados, né? A Lei Geral de Proteção de Dados, também os regulamentos do Bacen, perfeito? Então, é a segunda questão que tem que ser atendida, né? Terceiro, né? As empresas públicas brasileiras, os órgãos públicos, eles confiam muito nos integradores. Esses integradores que vão garantir suporte, que vão garantir continuidade, que vão dar uma assistência em português. Então, no Brasil, as instituições públicas compram muito continuidade e segurança por parte justamente dos fornecedores locais, perfeito? Outra coisa também, a questão da previsibilidade de preço. Então, os contratos públicos, né, eles duram pelo menos de 5 a 10 anos. Então, durante 10 anos, as empresas estarão ali com um contrato firmado. Então, essa previsibilidade de preço junto a entidades públicas é muito importante. Uma continuidade de preço, uma continuidade, como eu falei. Perfeito?
So, Oni, you heard the market requirements, right? Which is local presence, pricing, stability, compliance, adhering to the regulations. So, how does a cloud-native technology that built for edge, can penetrate into, LATAM market?
That's a very good question, Raj. See, Raj, based on what we have seen, to enter into a specific market, specifically for cloud native platform, we require, let's look from the customer point of view. What do they require? First is they require somebody to provide the data center at the edge, right? So they want an operator who's going to operate it. So basically build that data center, manage the data center and operate it. So that's the first piece of it. The physical infrastructure has to be built. The second one, we require an SI who's going to manage and deploy that. So one is plan and build, and then there is manage and operate, the second part of it. The third one is, which is equally important, is basically making sure whoever is providing the service is providing commercially viable solution.
Right.
We need flexibility for the customers to adapt. And as Thiago was talking about, it's a very competitive market, right? So we need to make sure the requirements of those particular regions are being taken into account to meet those requirements of the marketplace. Like, for example, the training of the partners, the serviceability of the partners, providing the hardware to the partners, so they are enabled to deliver those solutions to the end customer in a frictionless manner. So that's what we are trying to do with our valued partners.
All right, thank you, Oni. Thiago, one last question, right? For the partners that are watching this in LATAM, right? How do they take this to the market, right? Do they do it slowly, or do they have to hurry up and adopt this transformation? So, what are your take on it?
Ok, eu acredito muito na questão da continuidade, como eu falei, né, na continuidade, numa previsibilidade, né, sobre toda a parte de execução do trabalho, sobre a questão, né, da continuidade, de seguir as leis, de seguir toda a parte que a LGPD estabelece. Perfeito. Outro ponto que eu posso acrescentar, né, sobre a questão da conectividade, que é extremamente importante, perfeito. Então, os entes públicos, empresas privadas, eles têm que agir de forma muito rápida, porque o mercado ele mudou, né? O mercado ele mudou, então esses entes públicos eles têm que agir muito rápido na aquisição, na mudança de tecnologia, na implementação, porque senão vai ficar para trás. A tecnologia ela é muito dinâmica, perfeito? Então, quem não entende isso aí fica para trás, vai ficar para trás. Okay.
All right, Marcio, what is your take on it?
So, in Brazil, we have customers that prefer to work with partners, and they don't like to buy with hyperscales. So I'm talking this because as we an operator in Brazil, we prefer to work with solutions that bring us things that really works, because this is important for us to deliver to our customers in Brazil solutions that deliver more than they have now using hyperscalers or another solutions, for example.
All right. One sentence each, 30 seconds or less. Tiago, start with you. So, what is one sentence that you can frame it for the virtualization exit?
A janela no Brasil, essa oportunidade, né, de principalmente aí com essa mudança de mercado, as empresas têm que agir muito rápido, né? Tem que agir muito rápido por conta dessa mudança tecnológica. Então, quem age mais rápido tende a ter resultados muito mais rápidos, né, com essa mudança, ok?
Oh, the edge is not a future of the cloud. The edge is something that the customers need to use because the workloads run better in the edge and run better with Rakuten solutions. This is my point here.
Oni.
Edge is no more. Edge is no more a fiction. It's a reality. One has to adopt edge no matter what, because if they want to compete in the competitive market, they have to have the data at the place where the action is happening, and that's the only way to be competitive in the market.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, viewers. Thank you for paying attention. And if you need to understand more about this virtualization exit or anything else, please reach out to our experts or Rakuten Cloud. We are happy to help you all the time. Thank you.
Thank you.